everyone, this is Angela and Ryan with LostReviews.com. We are here for Blue Monday this week, and first up we have one that's already out, because sometimes we get them a little bit late, and this is on Blu-ray. This Means War.
Yeah, this film stars Tom Hardy, Chris Pine, and Reese Witherspoon. Mm-hmm. You'll know Tom Hardy mostly from his work in the upcoming film Batman, or The Dark Knight Rises, but you know Chris Pine from Star Trek.
Yeah.
So
they're both big action stars basically already.
Yes. Tom Hardy's big indie film star though, with
he
movies
is.
like Bronson and stuff like that.
Inception, The Warrior.
Yeah, those are two pretty mainstream movies. But
maybe they're not. Now you know about them.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're gonna love Tom Hardy even more after this film. It's the story of two men who are both working the CIA, and they have like undercover, really cool, badass jobs, and they both end up falling for the same girl. Just different occasions they came across this girl, and so they make it a contest of, well, let's see which one she picks. But then they use all their resources to spy on each other and like put hidden cameras in the house so they can see what the girl's talking about when they're not around, and they can try and improve what they're being complained about. So it makes it really funny, at least for a girl's standpoint, because when she does sit down with her girlfriend and kind of complain about the things, you can see that these are things that girls would sit and complain about. And it makes for a funny joke because like one time she complains that one of the guys has small hands. So it just makes this really funny joke.
What makes those scenes really funny though is like Chelsea Handler is in them, and she's just hilarious.
She is hilarious. She cracked me up.
I know they had to cut out a lot of her scenes in the theatrical version due to it would push them over an R. So I hope they kept that into the extended version. That
probably is what the extended or unrated, whatever you want to call it, version that's on here. That's probably what I watched. Because she had quite an important role in this, as being the best friend that kind of helps guide her through this journey of two men. And she's hilarious throughout the entire thing. I mean, the movie could have starred her and I would have had just as much fun.
Yeah, well, the main thing that they wanted to bring to this film is it's a chick flick, but with action elements to kind of, bring men and women together so the guy's not completely bored. And the action, I kind of felt was middle of the road here.
I liked it. I had fun with it. Maybe it's action that's more on par for a chick flick, though.
Yeah, I guess, because like the story is kind of so-so. It's just a fun popcorn flick is. I thought was
because there's definitely
enjoyable.
plot points that you're like, no, that would never happen, or things that you're waiting for it to come back around and bring it full circle at the end of the story, and they just don't. So you're just like, I guess they're focused more on explosions.
It seems like the film was kind of chopped up to make it kind of shorter and just more fun.
However, this starts to make sense because in the special features, they have like 3 alternate endings, and I watched all of them, and one of them has to just be a joke. I don't want to ruin it for you guys because it has to do with the ending. But when I watched it, I thought they seriously just filmed that as a joke for the Blu-ray. So it was funny. But the other 2, it's completely different endings from what the original theatrical shows. But one of those endings actually ties in some of those loopholes from the beginning of the film that I was talking about. Some of those things that they started having as like a running joke, and then it disappeared throughout the film. It comes back in this other alternate ending, which for that reason, I really liked that alternate ending. But the main plot of the ending was ridiculous. So, I don't know, I'm kind of torn. I guess I like the ending that they stuck with because it seemed a little bit more realistic and everyone kind of ends up happy without ruining anything. So, I mean, I don't know. You can make your own judgments on that. There's also some blooper reels that are kind of funny. But, I mean, I don't think people really understand what a blooper reel is anymore. Because, honestly, it used to just be, like, imagine Robin Williams just going off outside of the track of what he's supposed to be. Nowadays, it seems like blooper reels are just, people are smiling because they forgot their line, and then they include that in there.
Sometimes they feel really preconceived, too, for the Blu-ray. How's the picture and sound on this?
The sound was amazing. It was really loud when things were exploding, and the visuals were really crisp and clear, so on Blu-ray, obviously, it looks fantastic. And I would recommend at least renting it.
Yeah, it's got the DTS HD Master Audio, which is fantastic.
There's also, I think, was this one has a pre-visualization? I think it does. It doesn't say it on here, but there was like a pre-visualization, which these things crack me up. Because it's like, it's like this movie put into Sims World. I think it's what they built to bring to the studio to show, like, this is how they want to sell the film. And it's the opening scene of this, but it's slightly different. And you just have these computerized men flying around buildings and, like, shooting things. But everything's very, like, square, like, nobody has hinges. And it's really odd.
Yeah, that sounds great. But
That sounds great.
what would you give this?
I liked it. I think I'm going to keep it because I think I'll probably watch it again. It was pretty funny. I would say at least go rent it because it might not be for everyone. So I don't want to come out straight out and say, oh, you need to buy this. Because it's a popcorn flick, like you said. But, you know, summer's coming up. Maybe you want something to laugh at. This is definitely something you should check out.
All right, that is This Means War. Next up, we're going to get into some indie fare because that's what we do best at LostReviews.com. And here's a movie that really freaked us out, and we need to talk about Kevin. This film is out from Oscilloscope, and Tilda Swinton and her demon child are...
Ezra Miller, played by Ezra Miller.
Yeah, is crazy creepy, and this movie is hard to watch a second time. Because,
it really, really is.
Because it's so effective.
This is a film that when this started getting buzz and talked about, I was immediately intrigued. The trailers kind of led you in a different direction because you get this sense that, oh, well, there's this kid who does something terrible in his life, and this film is going to go back and show his history of how he became that way.
Right.
But it's actually completely different. When you start watching it, it actually starts from when the child is born. There's a few flash forwards and flashbacks here and there, but most of the time it's pretty streamlined to the child's life, and you get to see that this child is just psycho.
Yeah.
There's no particular reason. He wasn't raised terribly. He didn't have like psychotic issues because his parents were bad to him or anything like this, which just frightens anyone who's probably wanting to have a child.
Yeah, I mean, think of if the kid from The Omen grew up and went to high school. That's basically this film, is just this horrible serial killer kid that wasn't born a serial killer and the traumatic things that can happen to the family that he lives with. Oscilloscope always does these great Blu-ray packagings that are environmentally friendly.
Yeah, they're made out of cardboard, so you gotta be careful not to get these wet. But they do have a lot of art packed into them. This kind of plays into the whole, like, when the child was young and, you know, he may have been a psycho back then. I think it actually shows some stuff and maybe happens in the film there, so I won't show too much. But this is based on a book of the same name.
Yes, and it has a special feature on here with an interview from the writer of the book. We have behind the scenes with the cast and crew, little tidbits that Oscilloscope always does from where the film played at festivals. You get to see like Q&As and behind the scenes of the festivals, which I really like because this film played like 4 or 5 festivals. So this movie is really good, really intriguing, very effective as a horror slash thriller type movie.
Psychological.
And by the end of this, you were just going to be so freaked out by Kevin.
I was so worn out after watching this movie because you put so much emotion into this film, into watching these characters, and everything Tilda Swinton goes through. You physically feel that pain that she goes through as a mother, even if you don't have kids like myself. And it's just, by the end of that film, I mean, it was a fantastic film from beginning to end, and I loved it. But at the end of that film, I thought, I don't know if I can ever watch that again. That was just so traumatic.
Yeah, and John C. Reilly also does a great job of being the father that just kind of wants to ignore all the problems that are happening.
Yeah.
Everything in here, it just builds and builds and builds into the final conclusion, which is completely and totally unexpected.
Very, I want to say enjoyable, but then I feel like a sick person by saying that. But
yeah,
it's such a great
the movie's
film.
so effective, you're not going to be able to watch it back to back, but after a couple months, you're going to want to go back. Yeah, and you're going to be like, telling your friends, let's talk about Kevin.
Oh, it's going to be a great time. Let's come over and watch it. And then afterward, they're going to be like, what is wrong with you?
Hide the knives and enjoy this movie, but I think you should add this to your collection.
This is definitely worth buying, I think.
It's a great indie film from last year and amazing on Blu-ray. The special features are awesome, the picture is great, and the sound is mesmerizing. So, yeah, pick up.
Go get that.
We need to talk about Kevin.
Okay. Last up this week, a little change of pace here. This is a comedy called Goon.
Yes, an indie comedy called Goon, and just a great film. It was Sean William Scott.
Yep.
Probably his best film he has ever done. If you like the movie Slapshot, you are going to love Goon. It's about Sean William Scott plays this kind of dunce kid that came from this rich, intelligent family who raises doctors, and he is just a bouncer at a bar. That happens until he goes to this hockey game, and one of the hockey players wants to come and kick the crap out of his trash-talking friend in the crowd. The guy walks up the stairs, and Sean William Scott punches him in the face, knocks him out in one blow, and with that pushes himself onto the ice and becomes a hockey player. He can't skate, but he can fight. Okay. And that's what Goon is about.
And that's really what people go to hockey games for anyway.
Yes. And this has all the elements of anything that you want to see of a hockey game. Because
so lots of fighting.
A lot of fighting, lots of blood, lots of sex. It's hilarious. It's a great film.
A lot of comedy.
Yes. Sean William Scott.
Well, we've also got Lee
really
Schreiber, which I haven't seen him in a long time.
And he is fantastic as this, and he is the Nemesis character.
Oh, okay, good.
The other brawler for
like the other team.
The other team. Well, he's a big famous pro hockey NHL player who gets kicked out of the NHL because he's too violent, and they send him to the minor leagues to play out his last year. And you're just waiting the entire movie for these two to meet. And yes, it does have those crazy sports ending that you expect from every sports movie, but it's with a twist, and it's a great film. There's
so
also a love story in here.
I was just gonna say
awesome
this is a dude film, 100%, isn't it?
No, it has a love story, and it's funny.
Okay, but obviously, like, This Means War is aiming towards men and women.
Yeah.
This sounds like they're really just aiming towards men, and if there's a woman in the room, she'll be okay with it.
No, this is a good film. They don't need to aim towards anyone.
Okay.
They just aim towards people who like movies. But no, seriously, this has some great special features too, behind the scenes, interviews, commentary, which I love. This is a Magnolia film, so I'm gushing over it, but really, this movie is going to be a cult classic, and if you don't get it originally, then you're going to be missing out, because this movie is really cheap right now too. Ooh. So if you pre-order it, do that now.
I'll have to check it out then.
Goon is just awesome. I can't talk more about this film. Go see this movie.
So you're going to say buy it then?
Buy this. This is going to be a cult classic, and if you don't have it in your collection, you're going to feel stupid when your friends are all talking about it.
Okay then. I will make sure that we all have it in our collection.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for this week. Come back next week and see what we have for you then.
Yeah, see you later.